On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to talk about some ninja tricks that you can use to make professional video without breaking the bank. And today's episode is made possible by freevideoeditor.co. Want to start using these ninja tricks and then edit your videos? Well, what better way to do it than to start off by getting a free video editor at freevideoeditor.co. All the great things that you need to edit videos at a professional level without the high-level price at freevideoeditor.co. So let's hit the jingle.
He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
And it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper on the Earn.show podcast network. Facebook page, Video Marketing Madness, Twitter, Video MKT Madness. I put all kinds of stuff on there, so it's very cool.
Yes, you do.
Could you hear my dog barking in the background during the jingle?
I could, because I couldn't hear the jingle. I could only see the countdown. So I'm sure both of us will have dogs barking throughout the episode, so it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah. So when's the landing page for freevideoeditor.co going to be back up?
I didn't know it was down.
Yeah, it's down.
Well, that's interesting to note. I wish somebody had told me that.
I did. I kept PMing you, telling you it was down.
I'll have to check that out. As far as I knew, it was perfectly fine. So
no, it's down. So you probably should fix that.
I probably should fix that. That would be a good idea.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
If any of you also think I should fix that, please feel free to leave a comment below the video as you're watching this, because that would probably be a good idea.
So, hey, man.
Yep,
hey,
that's
man.
right. It does say it is down. It was up the other day, so I don't know why it's down, so we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, okay. So today we're going to talk about ninja tricks for pro video on the cheap, huh?
Yes, and apparently video hosting websites on the cheap too, because apparently I can't keep that one up. So
I don't know what the deal was. And you know, RayTheVideoGuy.com.
Yes, that one. See, all my sites were hacked back a couple weeks ago, and so we're still seeing some residual effects of that. RayTheVideoGuy.com is literally gone. We have to start completely from scratch on that, which is kind of sad. Fortunately, I wasn't using that one very often. It was much more of a bio page and things like that. So we'll get that one fixed. But freevideoeditors.co was up, so I'm not sure what happened there. We'll have to figure that out, and I'll get John on that right away. John, if you're listening, and I'm sure you probably are, we're going to have to fix that site because for some reason it is down.
Hi, John.
Hi, John. All right, so let's talk a little bit about creating pro video on the cheap. Now, many of you out there like to create videos. However, we all know that creating really nice videos can be difficult. Now, the fortunate thing is, in this day and age, you could literally pick up your phone, talk live into it, and put yourself on Periscope or Facebook Live, and that's pretty acceptable for most things these days, so it doesn't require a lot of pre-production and a lot of high-end equipment and all that other fun stuff. However, we want to talk about how to produce some of those nicer, more high-end videos without having to spend an absolute fortune on things like high-end cameras and lighting rigs and jibs and all the other stuff that make high-end video high-end. Well, the first thing we want to talk about is some of the categories that you can improve in your videos. And the way I see it, it's broken down into just a few. One being the camera that you're using, so the quality of the actual image. 2 might be the lighting. 3, the audio. And 4, the stabilization. And those are 4 areas that you can correct very, very easily, even if you don't have the budget for high-end equipment. So the first thing we want to talk about is the camera. Now, the great thing is we live in a really, really good time for creating videos. You can go to Best Buy right now, pick up nearly any camera that's on the shelf there, and it's going to give you very high quality video. In fact, better high quality video than some of the pro cameras did 10 or 15 years ago. So you can really get something good going there. Now, the second thing is iPhones, Androids, they take amazing videos if you use some of the ninja tricks we're going to talk about to make sure that that they get the best quality as you possibly can from those particular cameras. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a nice camera, whether it's your iPhone, your Android phone, a GoPro, which is very inexpensive, or pretty much any DSLR or video camera inside of a Best Buy or even a Walmart. They're going to be HD. In fact, Steve, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've been in a Best Buy lately, but they got 4K cameras everywhere now. So it's getting better and better all the time without having to spend $10,000, $5,000, $4,000. In fact, I remember back, probably got to be back 15 years ago or so when digital video first started coming out. I paid $5,000 for a Canon camera that had a big giant lens on it and took a beautiful picture, but it's basically useless these days because everything's high def. That back then was low, standard definition. It was 4:3. It wasn't 16:9 widescreen, so but basically spending all this money for something that really is just obsolete nowadays and really isn't worth anything. But nowadays, your iPhone or any cheap camera will do a really nice job in HD or even 4K to give you a very nice picture. So fortunately, the first ninja tip is very easy. It's use what you have. Whatever camera you have these days is probably going to be good enough. And so you just want to get out there and start using it. So that's my first trip. My first trick for this is to get the camera that you need. And again, not hard these days. Now we're going to get into some of the tricks that are going to help you to use that camera and get yourself some better video. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is lighting. Lighting can be a pain in the neck. You need to have good lighting, especially if you're going to use something like an Android phone, an iPhone, or a small camera, because basically the way video works is through light. And when you've got a smartphone, you're talking about a lens that's, what is it, a 1/4 inch wide, not even a 1/2 inch wide. That's pretty small. There's not a lot of light that's going to get through there. So you're going to have to compensate by providing this with some really good lighting. Now, you can go out, of course, to a place like B&H Photo Video and buy a lighting kit. You can get a decent one these days for $400, $300, somewhere around there. But there are some ways around it without having to spend that kind of money. Now, the first thing is to shoot outside. Obviously, when you're outside, you've already got a giant light that you're never going to be able to compete with anywhere else in the sun. So if you can go outside, make sure that you're not in the direct sun. Don't do it at noon where the sun's going to be beating straight down on the top of your head because you're going to get raccoon eyes and shadows and things like that. But if you can shoot your videos outside in the early morning or in the late afternoon, you can get a really nice, solid image with great color, great lighting, and it's just going to look really good. Now, there are some caveats, of course, for being outside. There's a lot of noise, there's wind, there's things like that that can really, it's an uncontrolled environment, but the lighting will certainly be very good. Now, if you're indoors, one thing you can do is be in a room that has fluorescent lighting. Now, first caveat with that is most fluorescent lighting is terrible. However, while it is terrible in some ways, it's actually good in other ways. The problems with fluorescent lighting, like in an office building, is that the color changes constantly. And if you shoot a video and you go back frame by frame, you can actually see that where, a white wall will turn slightly green, then slightly orange, then white, then green, then orange. It'll change color because the fluorescent light tubes actually change color, but they do it at a very rapid pace. So to your naked eye, it looks just like white light. But it really is actually colored and it can change. Now, honestly, that's not a big distraction in most cases. If you're standing against a white wall, you may notice it. If you're standing against a traditional room where there's a lot of things in the background, you're probably not even going to notice that very well at all. So it is a great thing to use if you're in the right environment. And it gives you a very clean light, a very soft light, so you're not going to get a lot of shadows. And it's just going to make life easier for you. You're not going to have to do a whole lot to be able to get a decent enough image for that. Now, the next thing that you can do is you can actually go out and you can get some light bulbs that are fluorescent, we see them all the time now, those curly Q bulbs. I don't know if they have I guess they compact fluorescent is what they call them, but they look like the little curly Qs. And those are actually pretty decent as well because, again, you can put them into any socket. You can use them to light yourself up without having a lot of the harsh shadows. Now, you do still have some of the color issues, but here's the ninja trick that you can actually use. Get online, go to B&H Photo Video, and look for what they call daytime balanced compact fluorescent bulbs. They're going to look like the same curly Q bulbs, but here's what's different about them. They're not going to give you the same color light. They're going to give you light that's the same color as sunlight. Now, the reason you want to do this is because these bulbs, they're a little more expensive, but they're going to be consistent. The light color is going to be consistent. It's not going to change, as much as the other fluorescent bulbs will. But here's where it gets cool. If you're indoors and you've got sunlight coming in and you use those light bulbs, well, now you're lighting the room with the same color light as the sun, which means that you're going to get a nice even tone to everything that you shoot. The problem with most indoor bulbs is that they're very orange, and the sunlight is actually very blue. And if you've ever noticed somebody using a camera, in a room where there's some indoor lighting and there's a window shining light in, you'll get these very weird colors because part of them will be very blue looking, part of them will be very orange, and the camera has to decide which one is correct. If it decides that the sunlight is correct, then the parts that are lit by the indoor light are going to look very orange. Vice versa, if it decides that the indoor lights are the right color, well, then everything else is going to look very blue. That's where you can see, like, if you watch an old wedding video and the bride looks like she's wearing a blue dress instead of a white dress, has to do with the color of the light and how the camera is set. Most cameras are automatic these days, so you want to give them the best lighting possible. So get the indoor balanced compact fluorescent bulbs, and those are going to give you a really good light that's going to match the outdoor light that might be coming in. Now, the next trick with this is, believe it or not, you can actually get gigantic versions of those curly Q bulbs. And again, you can get them daylight balanced, and instead of being, the traditional size of a bulb you'd put in your lamp, this one is going to be literally, 7 times the size of that big giant curly Q. In fact, I have one over here that I'm using right now. I wish I could show it to you, but we can't see it. It's off to the side, and it's actually lighting me for the live video. But that also is daytime balanced, so you can get the gigantic daytime balanced ones, and you can plug them into just about anything. These days, when you're using these fluorescent bulbs, you don't need to have, like we used to see in the old days with the giant umbrellas and all these fancy lights, because these things are diffused on their own. In other words, they're not going to be harsh. They're not going to give you heavy shadows. So you can use them as is, put them, and even the giant ones, actually, they go into a regular traditional light socket, so you don't have to worry about getting any sort of special lighting. You can get an old lamp and just plug them right into that and just put it close, and it's going to be good enough. If you've got older lights, like what I've done is I've actually got an older set of photography lights. So they've got the big metal disc around them, and I just plug those into them and just shoot with that, and it works really, really well, and it's very inexpensive. Now, another ninja trick for lighting, if you don't have access to those types of bulbs, you can actually go down to a place like Home Depot or Walmart, and you can buy the work lights. You know the ones I'm talking about. They come on the little stand, and they've got the little xenon bulbs in there that they're very powerful. They're about 250 watts. Now, if you're going to bring those into a small studio like you have here, what you want to do is you want to take those and shoot them up at the ceiling or shoot them at the side of the walls and let the light bounce onto the subject. They're very powerful lights, and if you shoot them directly at the subject, one, it's going to get very hot, but two, it's going to provide very harsh shadows. So you want to bounce it off the ceiling, off another wall, things like that, to really make it a nice soft light for you. But you can pick these very powerful lights up for about $20, $30. And the thing is, and this is the dirty little secret people don't want you to know about, is if you bought a professional light kit. Now, one of the more popular ones in the day was called a Lowell Light, and it was a long light with some nice barn doors and things like that, and it was very powerful. Well, guess what? It uses the exact same bulbs that these work lights use. So basically, when you bought one of those Lowell lights, the Omni lights, you were paying $500 for basically the same thing you could get at Home Depot for $20. And yes, there are some advantages to having the actual video lights because of the way they reflect light and whatnot, but the bulb is the same. So you can get around it in a much, much cheaper manner. So that's another trick for lighting that you may want to use. Now, one final trick that you can use is down at Home Depot. Again, we're going to spend a lot of time at Home Depot. They sell gigantic pieces of white foam. And I think they're used for insulation or something of that nature. But they're big, giant squares of white foam. If you go down and you pick one of those up, you can actually use that to bounce sunlight, and you can use it to bounce light indoors as well onto the subject. So if you want to get one of those work lights, you could actually put the foam in it over here and shoot the light into the foam and have that bounce onto the subject. And this is actually something when I've shot high-end video productions with TV studios and cable stations and things like that, that's what they do. They go down to Home Depot and they get these giant pieces of foam. And it works very, very well. Now, be careful if you're outdoors and it's windy. That's like it's like carrying around a pirate sail, and it's going to blow away. So you have to be very careful with that. It's very large and will pick up a lot of wind. But that's a great way to bounce some lighting onto your subject and really get a nice picture. So there you go. Now, let's move on to our audio. Unfortunately, with audio, the ninja tricks are a little tougher here. Basically, if you're going to get good quality video, you want to stay away from the built-in microphone. If you've got your phone, even if you've got a decent-looking camera, and you put it 5 feet away from you and you're talking, you're going to get echo. So what we want to do is we always want to try and use a lapel mic or a shotgun mic. If you can get a shotgun mic for your camera, that's going to be a little bit better. The kind that actually mount on the camera, but it's still not going to be great. Even a cheap lapel mic at a distance is going to be better than one of the nice shotguns that come with some of the cameras. So you can actually pick up a very inexpensive microphone at a place like B&H again. Just look for the Audio Technica lavalier mic. It's about $40. You really can't go wrong with it. It's one that I still use to this day because it is a very good microphone. Some other options are the Rode RODE microphone, and this one will actually plug into your iPhone. We also sell I believe that site is being reworked right now as well, so I don't have access to sell it to you right now, but if you're watching this later on, we actually do sell a microphone that works both on your iPhone or your Android phone and will plug into your traditional video camera, and there's a little button on there that you switch on and off to be able to choose whether you're going to do camera or phone. And that, I believe, we were selling that for about $70. So it's a very good microphone. It works really well, and again, it's versatile because you can use it in both. So the big secret here is, again, there's not a lot we can do with audio for ninja tricks other than to tell you, get a lavalier microphone. It's cheap, and it works really well. Some other options are to get a secondary recorder. Record your audio on a little digital recorder and use a microphone on there if you don't have one that you can plug into your camera. In fact, here's another little ninja trick that you might be able to use is if you have an old microphone and headphone set for your smartphone. If you take one of those and you use that, you can actually use the microphone on there almost like a lavalier microphone, put it close to you, record the audio onto your phone while you're creating the video. It may not be long enough if you're actually shooting the video with your phone, but if you're shooting the video with a camera, you want to capture good audio, you can use the voice recorder on your phone and use the headphone mic to actually record your voice. So that's one other ninja trick. And then, of course, you bring it into your editor and you put the two sounds back together. It's actually not that hard these days, and you should get a really, really good video. Okay, so moving on from audio, the next thing we want to talk about is stabilization. A stabilization is one thing that people overlook quite often, and really it's not only going to make it much more pleasant for your viewer, it's going to make it much more pleasant for you to actually create your videos. Now, we've all watched Facebook Live videos or Periscope videos where the person's holding the phone in front of their face and they're wobbling it all around and making you sick to your stomach as you're watching the video. Well, there are some ways around this in both a studio environment and an outdoor environment. And the first one is if you're in studio and you can buy a tripod, go get one. You don't need a super high-end $500, $1,000 tripod in order to shoot an interview in your home office. All you need is something that will hold your camera. You can pick up a tripod at Best Buy or Walmart, and it's probably going to cost you $20, $30. So it's very inexpensive. Now, if you're super cheap, here's where we really get into a ninja trick. And this is something that is not 100% accurate, so you'll have to check around your house to figure this out. But one dirty little secret is this. The little screw in at the bottom of your camera where you would attach your tripod, the threads on that are a standard size, and most lamps that you'd have in your house actually have the same thread size. So what I mean by that is if you take a tabletop lamp, a traditional one with a lampshade, unscrew that lampshade off the top of that, there's a really good chance that the threads on the top of that lamp you can screw your camera right into, and now you've got your own homemade tripod. You just take the lamp, put the lamp on a table, camera on the lamp, and boom, there you go. You've got a tripod in a ninja fashion there. If you're using your iPhone, you can actually pick up, we actually sell these as well. They're little mounts for your iPhone or your Android phone to put into a traditional tripod. I believe they actually sell these at places like Best Buy now. I did see one recently, so you can actually go to Best Buy. You can pick one of those up and you can screw it in. If you've got a GoPro, you can screw that into the lamp as well. So it's very easy to do that, and it's one of those little ninja tricks that can really make a big difference. Now, some of the other things you can do if you're outside, you're walking around, a selfie stick will do pretty well. It's not going to be the most stable in the world, but it actually will do fairly well for you. Another thing you can get, and I wish I had the name of it. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but they do have these new powered gimbals. Now, what I mean by a gimbal is you put your camera on this what looks like a selfie stick, kind of, and it stabilizes the camera. So no matter how you move your hand around, the camera is going to stay in the same spot. It's going to give you a very, very stable shot. So if you can pick up one of those, you can actually make a great shot that way as well. Again, that's called a gimbal. You've probably seen the ads on Facebook where people are moving their hand around and you see the camera stays right in the center. Very, very useful, very helpful. Not super cheap, but very powerful piece of equipment that can really help you with stabilizing your videos. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about cameras, we've talked about lights, we've talked about microphones, and we've talked about stabilization. Well, now you've shot your video using some of these ninja tricks. So what are you going to do with it? Whether you're using our freevideoeditor.co, which is apparently down, whether you're using our shortcut editor from there, or you're using iMovie or Premiere or Sony Vegas, or whatever it is you have, the big thing is here, even if you got Windows Movie Maker, I like to make fun of Windows Movie Maker, but even if you have Windows Movie Maker, the biggest thing you can do to make your videos more professional is to edit your videos. Most people don't do this. I know that sounds kind of crazy to some of you, but most people will not take the time to edit their videos. They shoot, they upload. Well, if you go in and you remove some of the junk at the beginning where you were setting up, or the junk at the end after you were done, that makes a big difference. If you can get even further, go into the video and remove anything that that hurts the video, and cut out some of the bad spots or the retakes or anything like that. It's going to make the video 1,000 times better. It also gives you the opportunity to fix any color issues, to boost the sound if the sound's low, add music, add graphics, add people's names, whatever it is that can really make a big difference to your video. So I highly recommend that no matter what you do, unless it's literally a Facebook Live like we're doing right now where you really can't edit it beforehand, go out there, shoot your videos, and make sure that you edit them and remove anything that's going to detract from the quality of the video itself. It's not hard these days, folks. It's pretty easy. In fact, if you're shooting with an iPhone or an iPad or an Android phone, you're probably going to have a video editor built right in where you can literally just do the work right inside your phone or your mobile device and get a really good video. Back about a year ago, there was a video that was floating around. It was going viral, excuse me, of, I believe it was Audi. I could be wrong. It was one of the luxury car manufacturers, and they were shooting their car video, their commercial, with iPads, and then they were editing them with the iPads right there on the fly to make their commercial. Very high quality, high-end commercials, and it was all done with iPads. So believe me, if these guys can do a professional video for a commercial for a high-end luxury car using nothing but iPads, you can as well. So I highly recommend you check that out as well. I think if you just look up Audi iPhone iPad commercial, you'll probably be able to find it there and check it out. But it's very eye-opening to see what they were able to do with just iPads. So believe me, if they can do that for million-dollar clients, you can do that for the local plumber or for your own products that you're selling. So Steve, what do you think of all this?
Oh, I think it's great. This is a lot of stuff I already do. I use a lot of PLR videos, but like the lights. I've got the Home Depot lights with some old photography stands, and that works great.
Yeah. And if you ever need to diffuse any of those lights, there's a product called Tough Spun. Tough Spun. I'm not even sure how you spell that. I assume it's TUFFSPUN. And what it is it almost looks like dryer sheets. Don't use dryer sheets, but it looks like dryer sheets, and you can put it over your lights, and it will diffuse the light as well. It's very inexpensive, and unlike dryer sheets, it shouldn't burn down your house. So again, do not use dryer sheets. They just look like dryer sheets. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Cool. Do you have a Mindset Matters?
I actually don't, because this kind of is the tips that I wanted to give for today. So I'm not going to distract with anything else at this time, because I think that's pretty good there.
Well, then let me just say that it's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper on the Show podcast network. Today's show made possible by
the currently down freevideoeditor.co, which will hopefully be up very shortly.
By the time you listen to this, yeah.
Yes, if you want to start editing video, head on over to freevideoeditor.co, and when the site is working again, you'll be able to download the free Shotcut video editor and start editing like a pro. And of course, if the website is down, just contact me on Facebook. I'll be able to send you a link to download the actual product, because I do have that as well. But there you go.
Very good. Well, let's wrap it up with the jingle.
All right, so until next time, folks, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next week.
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.